a great family guy. You know, he wasn't someone who was living to work.
George Michael Vasiloff was a Marine with a passion for music.
He actually ended up playing in the Marine band instead of going to Vietnam. So he was a prolific musician. He played saxophone and clarinet and passed on, you know, his love of music to me.
But in 2013, George was diagnosed with ALS, a fatal type of motor neuron disease that attacks the muscles and nerves. Within a few months, the Northern Virginia resident Kate Vasiloff says her dad's condition had quickly worsened, drastically impacting his daily life.
By the spring, he was in a wheelchair completely. By, June, he was having trouble breathing.
Vasiloff says she and her father had one conversation about medical aid in dying. She says although her father had changed his mind about his do not resuscitate order, he still talked about having a choice in when he should die. She says mostly he was worried about his children.
Terrified that, what this would do to our family and what my brother and I would have to watch him go through. What I was saying, I didn't know what to do, but I knew in the moment I wanted to give him any, slice of peace I possibly could.
Medical aid in dying is not legal in the state of Virginia. Vasiloff believes her father should have had a choice.
Why don't we give people the autonomy to make decisions about their own body when their body is failing them?
George Vasiloff died 18 months after the ALS diagnosis. Virginia Senator Ghazala Hashmi has tried to get the medical aid in dying bill passed for 3 years. Hashmi says she introduced the bill because of the stories of her constituents.
I've heard from many people who say that they've lived in Virginia their entire lives. They want to die in Virginia, and they want to be able to have ownership over their final decisions in that regard.
Now, there are many different arguments as to why this bill should or should not be passed. For people on both sides of the issue, they say it's about respecting human lives.
Dr. Sharon Quick, the current president of the Physicians for Compassionate Care Education Foundation, testified against this bill. She says it violates patient autonomy and can lead to elder abuse.
There's also the part of autonomy that is the capacity to choose. So you not only have a right to choose, but you have to have a capacity to choose. The right to choose has limits, and when it involves devaluing a person and killing a person, those are the foundational rights for autonomy, and you can't take away those or you've actually destroyed autonomy.
Rami Belsky, an end-of-life doula, says that respecting bodily autonomy is respecting the person's choice.
At the end of life, you see so much of a human's options and autonomy being taken away. They're losing control over pretty much every aspect of their life, their control, their body. And I think that being able to say, you still have a choice in how long you want to live and how long you want to travel down this road. You get to choose at some point if you've had enough. And we can do this in a really gentle and beautiful way.
Several European countries, Canada, and parts of Australia provide medical aid in dying for people with unbearable suffering who meet specific criteria. Currently, 10 U.S. states and Washington, D.C. have legalized medical aid in dying for terminally ill patients who have 6 months or less to live. Although medical aid in dying is only available for people with terminal illnesses in the United States, some question if other countries' policies will influence the U.S. to expand the service's availability. Jeff Caruso, the executive director of the Virginia Catholic Conference, says the government has an obligation to prevent suicide.
If we look at those with disabilities, those with mental illnesses, those that do not have access to high-quality health care, and the elderly, these are all populations that would be at heightened risk if assisted suicide were to become part of Virginia law.
The argument of whether medical professionals' personal beliefs should overrule the rights and wishes of patients is ongoing. According to a survey done by the American Nurses Association, 57% of over 2,300 nurses support medical aid in dying as a professional, while only 49% support it personally. An opinion found on the American Medical Association website says medically assisted death is, quote, fundamentally incompatible with the physician's role as healers. Both sides argue that they are supporting their patients in the best way possible. Regardless of the debate, families like Kate's rather not have to make this decision at all.
That was enough for me to take up this cause and realize there's so many families going through this. I want it to be an option for those, who are faced with this really, really horrible situation.
For VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Chelsea Brooks-Giles.